So I started to do a spectating video and it started to turn into let's watch this one player video, and then everything crashed. Discord fought with OBS, everything died, and my video corrupted. And this is the only footage I could get. And I'm out of time for the day to record more of it. However, I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the stuff that I've observed in the first 36 hours of season 4, specifically with the bots and what this means or might mean for Warzone going forward. So in season 4, I have observed that there is a significant difference to the behavior and characteristics of the AI bots they put in casual modes, both solos and quads. With these changes, they are setting, in my opinion, the stage for the future of what they envision Call of Duty to be. I'm not making a judgment on it. I'm just telling you what I see and how I think they're looking forward and what they intend to do going forward with Call of Duty as a whole. That may change. It may not be right. We don't know because they're not telling us anything. So we have to go by what they give us. And what they're giving us is a second casual mode. In this case, casual solos. We're spectating casual quads right now, but casual solos. And the thing with the bots is they're different than they were last season in season 3. So what do I mean by that? Well, in season 3, it was pretty easy to tell if you fought a bot. Step 1, they always threw a grenade at you, and then they drop shotted, and then they started shooting at you. And when you killed them, or unfortunately somehow died to them, you observed that their rank was actually unprestiged, somewhere in that first prestige, right? Could be level 55 or anything in between, but that was it, right? So you weren't prestiged, you threw a grenade, you drop shotted, or you stood still and then drop shotted if you lived long enough. And that was how the bots fought, and you could pick them out immediately without question. However, season 4 has appeared to bring some dramatic changes to how these bots behave. Number 1, their movement and lethality is very different. They appear to have prestige ranks, not just stuck in that unprestiged system. I've caught a couple of them in the second and even the third prestige. So the possibility that these bots are now being given more ranks and given a more human-like appearance, I think, and it is one thing to note, right? You're not necessarily going to face someone and see, oh, you're a rank 33 unprestiged. You might fight someone who's a prestige 3, and in reality, they might be a bot. All right. The names always used to have this uppercase, lowercase mix, right? They do a lot of they'd have a word or 2 words tied together, and then they'd have a couple of capital letters thrown in. They're at the beginning, like XX, you know, John Smith, XX, right? And the X's would be in capitals, and it would see that pattern, and you'd be like, oh, that's a bot. I have not seen that pattern. I've not observed that. I have seen definitive bots with a variety of names, some with numbers, some without numbers. Most of them are, there's some other characteristics of how they behave that you can identify them with, but that's just the way it is. It hasn't been a lot of this same behavior. So they've changed that. They're humanizing these bots. The other thing they try and do is they try and make them move more naturally, right? So before, they would spawn in or they'd come around a hill and they would go straight at you. They would stop dead in their tracks, start shooting you, or throw a grenade, and then they'd drop shot and they'd lay on the ground and try and shoot you from there. Very easy to identify them. I have seen a few do that. However, most are not doing that. In fact, most are taking other approaches to gunfights. Specifically, things like their movement and engagement styles are different. I've observed them strafing in a gunfight, slide canceling into a room to engage you in a gunfight, using cover in a gunfight. I've engaged them chasing me with a melee attack, trying to beat me down. And then I've also observed them using sniper rifles, taking longer shots, 60, 70 meter shots, not hitting, not connecting with headshots, but they're taking the shots. It is more natural, and it is becoming more difficult to tell a low skill player from a bot from the way that they engage initially in combat. They have a variety of ways of attacking, right? So they're not necessarily going to lead with the grenade. They're not going to lead with their lethal, which they have been before. They don't always drop shot, right? So they've taken a lot of that out. But one thing that they are doing is when you observe them, they aim at you, they go to ADS, they aim, and it takes a second or two for them to wander around and lock onto you. But once they do, and they hit very accurately. And so I think they're trying to balance their lethality with giving you an opportunity to fight them. So and they fire in bursts a lot. So when you fight one, right, they might lock onto you, hit you, but then they stop and then they can reacquire you. And so there's that cadence of re-aim, but they do that often, sometimes while on the move, or they'll use cover to go behind cover and come back out and re-engage you. So they're definitely improved, and they're more natural feeling right now compared to where we saw them just a couple days ago at the end of season 3. To that effect, they're also navigating the map more naturally. They're not standing still. They're not wandering as aimlessly. Before, they followed a very linear track. They would move in a straight line, then they would stop and rotate. And sometimes it would be, they did improve that over the season, but for the most part, they would move in a straight line and then they'd rotate. They wouldn't take a more gradual approach to something. If there was an object in the way, you would see more of a triangular movement. They'd go over to where they'd clear the object, the obstruction, and then they'd rotate and be back on the same trajectory, going towards basically the same point they were aiming for before. And now they seem to be a bit more chaotic in their movements, right? And it's not necessarily more natural. They seem to move a little bit more like ping pong balls, where they go one way and they'll turn around if something comes up. They don't lock in anymore. But so through that movement, you can still pick them out, but it is dramatically better. And in the heat of a gunfight, it's not always easy, I think, to tell right off the bat. You have to think about it or extend the gunfight and observe how they behave to really pick them out. And then another one, and we're watching this guy right now on the screen. This guy, I do not know if he's a bot or not. I watched him the entire game, and most of that footage was lost. The way he moves, and the way he behaves, and the way he interacts with his teammates, and the way he interacts with loot and buy stations and everything else screams bot. So this guy behaved in many ways like a bot. And it was confusing to me because I didn't understand what I was watching for most of the game. At first, I thought maybe he's just trying out hacks. He's got a low-level account. He's a level 10. He's not prestiged at all. He's barely played. And yet when he fires his gun, it's extremely accurate. He hits at an incredible high percentage of shots. He also whiffs shots, which, depending on how humanized your cheat is, might be normal. However, this same guy also had some very strange ways of navigating the map. Ways that, to be honest, were not indicative of a new player. His centering was terrific, but he always seemed to wander into weird places, put himself into weird spots, mess around with swapping guns, did a lot of the things that over the last season we've observed bots do. On top of that, he didn't seem to know how to interact with fundamental elements of the game, but he could drop all of his cash in one go, unlike most new players who drop them one rack at a time, right? So if you drop $5,000, it's going to sit there $500 at a time. That's a new player behavior, but he would drop the entire rack, but it would take several minutes, or not minutes, but 10, 20 seconds of people pinging him, calling for money, and he would stop and then he'd drop the money all at once. Not a typical new player experience. After watching him, I ruled out hacks. I ruled out a new player to first-person shooters. And the way in which he struggled to navigate rooms and navigate the fundamentals of the map in a way that an experienced first-person shooter player, maybe a Fortnite or Valorant player, trying this game for the first time would not run into. He behaved in a way that someone who knows how to play first-person shooters, to the point that he could shoot as accurately as this guy did. It rules that out in my book. So that makes the question is, that creates the question, is this the future of Call of Duty? Because if he's not a cheater, if he's not a new player to the genre, and he's definitely not an experienced player playing this game for the first time, it's a high probability that this is the future of Call of Duty with these AI bots who are very close to what you would call the burger player, the burger rando, the bad rando, the not good at the game rando that you get, that doesn't have his mic, that bumbles around but contributes as needed and can keep up, but still is a liability. Because that's what it felt like watching him. It definitely felt like this guy did not belong compared to the other two teammates. So that's what I got for you. That's my thoughts. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is Activision going to start squad filling us with AI? Are they taking us to the point where we're like Fortnite now, where every lobby's going to be full, and how many bots you get depends on different things, right? Skill-based bot filling versus skill-based matchmaking. I don't know. But that was a weird experience, and it has me interested to know more. So I'm going to take another couple looks at it, keep an eye on this, and I'll update you when I find out more. Till then, thank you so much. If you have gotten this far and you haven't already, please subscribe. Drop your thoughts down below in the comments, and I will catch you on the next one.